And of course, Mama V is right. It's the first Monday of the year, the first working day of the year, first day back at work for most of us. And as always, I have a story for you. Ron walked home from work every day. It was a 10-minute walk, but he made it last an hour by going through Charlotte's Park, where he would sit on a bench by the pond for 45 minutes, feeding the ducks and enjoying the peace and quiet. This tranquil hour was Ron's favorite time of the day for two reasons. First, he really loved wildlife. Something about the ducks, the squirrels, and the birds he shared the green space with just spoke to his spirit, And second, it delayed his return home to his wife Phyllis, who was louder than a convoy of ambulances and could certainly win the Nobel Peace Prize for starting a war. Now, when the City Council put up a sign informing residents that the park was to be shut down to make way for a new dual carriageway linking the city centre to the motorway, Ron was livid. How could they take away his hour of tranquility? How could they make him go home early? He was going to have to do something about it. So the next day, on his lunch break, he marched into his local authorities' offices and demanded to speak to someone high up. Now, after waiting for almost an hour, he met some county council bigwig who told Ron the deal was already done, with words like, "Oh, we consulted widely about this decision, and there are still enough parks in the city to meet our green space quota." The county hall mandarin dismissed Ron's concerns, but Ron would not take it lying down. He dug up records of all the species of birds, squirrels, badgers, moles, even ants that lived in the park. He collected documents on the fish in the pond, the ducks, the geese, the trees, and the flowers in his beloved park. He then added an eloquent letter about how all the wildlife would be displaced and endangered if the authorities didn't find a way to construct the highway around the park instead of through it. He submitted copies of his letter and attached wildlife reports to all departments of the county council, from highways to environmental protection. No doubt they would change their minds once they saw the evidence he had painstakingly gathered. Weeks went by and Ron got no response. He wrote to them again. This time he hand-delivered them. Still no response. So Ron decided to send one letter a day. He copied in every newspaper editor, as well as every news anchor, show host, and reporter he could identify at every radio and TV station in the city. Every day for a month, Ron sent his letters. He would then follow up with phone calls to find out if his letter had been received and when action would be taken on it. Eventually, a journalist at the Evening Standard newspaper made a phone call to the county council to inquire about the claims made in Ron's daily letters. And this sparked a chain reaction. First, the council wrote to Ron and invited him to a meeting. They then issued a public statement saying environmental protection would do a risk assessment to determine the impact of the construction on the wildlife. 2 weeks later, the council announced that they had adjusted their construction plans and the park would be saved. Finally, Ron's voice had been heard. Now, why am I telling you this story of some middle-aged resident of the East Midlands? Well, it's just to illustrate the power of one man's voice. One thing 2020 has taught us is that people do take the power of their vote very seriously. They wait quietly for 4 years to tell their government what they think of them. And when they do so, they want their voice to be heard. They want their vote to be counted. After all, they've waited 4 years to use it. The thing is, elections are not the only times when you have a voice. You don't only get to wield power once every 4 years as part of some collective group of 13 million voters or so. No. You have a voice every day of every week of every month of every year between this past election and the next. Also, you really don't need to be part of a demonstrating mob to have your voice heard. One man can change things just by using their voice loud enough and long enough. So what is bothering you, my dear friend? Is it the lack of street lights in your area? Is it the poor roads, the bad service from that restaurant you went to? Is it the ECG? Is it the decisions of your MPs that are being made on your behalf? It doesn't matter what it is. This year, I want you to shout about it over and over again until it is sorted. Yes, you're only one person And no, you're not a celebrity with 1 million followers who would happily retweet your farts if you had the bad sense to share them. But you don't need any of that to make a difference. Remember Ron? He wrote 1 letter a day until he was heard. So keep tweeting your thoughts daily. It's not enough to tweet once about your grievance. Keep hashing that tag until everyone gets in on it. Tweet every day until the revolution comes. And if you are not on Twitter, write. Make phone calls. Go to the offices of the people that you need to have your voice heard and wait to see them. Whether it's a politician or a church leader or a police commander, you alone and your persistent voice can turn every situation around. Here at Joy, on Joy News, we believe in starting every new year with a conviction to do at least one thing right. But to do it well, of course, and do it consistently until we see its positive impact on our lives. So why don't we all make 2021 the year of the voice? Let's think about that. My name is Kojo Yankson, and it takes only one match to light 1,000 candles. Good morning, Ghana.